Game companions can make the game unforgettable. Elizabeth comes to mind with Bioshock, Ellie in The Last of Us, the real one, not the second part. Many companions in Fallout games, Mass Effect games as well, and its countless ways mission stories play out depending on your choice and combo of your companions. What makes them good is personality, interaction, not being a burden to the player, getting you out of bad situations, and being, well, a companion, someone you relate to, someone you can trust. But on the other hand, there are companions that make the game feel like a chore. But how do you make bad companions? Well, for that, we just look at Warframe and its countless examples of just exterminating any slither of hope that companions can be trustworthy or worthy of anything. It's really hard to write this video because there's very few things DE did right here, but a whole pile of stuff that ended up being below the enjoyable margin. Yes, I get that companions should not complete missions for us, like Wukong's twin does, but they should be half useful. And to start it off with a positive note, companions give us vacuum and fetch, which sucks loot from a certain range, which is nice quality of life for a looter-shooter game. Until you realize you need to do endurance missions to get enough loot, and in endurance missions they can't endure. Especially now that Eximus enemies are buffed, and they basically one-shot all your companions at any level, does not matter. Problem here is that companions are the only NPC whose HP, armor, and shields do not scale with enemy levels. I'm not sure how one can think it's a good idea, but here we are. What people are doing for the most part is bringing Warframes who have high HPs, so pets would have it higher too, but that's a pretty bad call from development side, as it limits our choices of frames and requires us to use mods we otherwise wouldn't, like using extra health on Rhino for example. Which starts to feel like a burden, because the alternative is to spend half of your mission reviving your pet, because I kid you not, they get wrecked all the time. Not to mention that a lot of abilities that protect you don't protect them, not even mods like health conversion. There's traces that DE acknowledges this issue. Tech mod is there to give us a slot machine roll whether our pet survives or we spend next 10 seconds or so cursing in a language of our choice. Wulpahalas revive themselves after 30 seconds. Clem will also revive himself if we don't pick him up, which is a pretty cool thing, because if you do help him, he gets up with full HP, but if you're a monster and you let him revive himself, then he will start off with half of his HP. That's a really good solution. Why don't other companions have that? Also, a trace of DE seeing this problem is Railjack crewmates, as their healing is based off of percentage of their health. Obvious solution to this is to make companion base HP scale off of enemy levels. They don't need to die as much or at all, and if DE really feels like pets and companions should die, then I feel like Clem's solution would probably be the best one as a default solution. We can put extra mods on the side for specific classes. Pets need to have high evasion. The moment enemies aggro on them, they flatline in a blink of an eye. Sentinels have it even worse. The only way to keep them alive is to add shield recharge and pray shield gate would do, which it won't, but someone thinks it's fun to lose something without your fault, or rather any way you can affect it really, ever. Nier Automata has a similar drone flying around you, and it felt like such a joy to play with it since it didn't get wrecked ever, as opposed to your Helios kicking a bucket whenever a gentle breeze blows in its general direction. Regen and Prime Regen are weird. Why are we limited to 3 Sentinel deaths if they die all the time? I cannot think of a good player action DE anticipates when our Sentinel is just gone and it's not your fault and you can't do anything to bring it back. Metal Gear Solid 5 has a great solution to this. When your companion is downed and carried out, you can call an airdrop and in no time it's back with you. We have gear options for different air supports, so this would be awesome. Metal Gear Solid 5 also has a great companion system, where each has its own personality, and depending on the gear we put on them, they can perform different actions at players' request. Where's any trace of that in Warframe? The only one there is a helmet ability that will instantly move your pet to your side and heal it for 50 energy. That's it, you can't tell your pet to do anything. Venari is an ability of Korra, and she can change modes. Be defensive, aggressive, heal you. Like, that's good. Why don't other pets have actions that player chooses? With Q menu, we could just switch to pet orders with right mouse button, just like we switched to emotes and weird dances and stuff. This would be more useful, so I'd put pet menu in front of dancing. Sorry, Octavia mains. Another problem is mod space. D keeps adding more mods, but we still have companion abilities as mods despite it being close to a decade since Warframe got their abilities moved from mods to just be abilities you have by default. Venari shows us that without those ability mods, pets have formidable output, even versus high-level enemies. She still flops hard as soon as she gets shot because scaling, but the damage number she does is alright if we could build for on other pets. But we can't, since most of our mod slots are occupied to save us from reviving a pet every 20 seconds. Solution to this is obviously removing ability mods and making abilities as class-specific pre-applied features. That's an easy job, as D has done that with frames. Just copy-paste it. Just like D copy-pasted how Sentinel slots work to how pet slots used to work, which was the only change done to pets since 3 or 4 years ago when it was mentioned on quite a few dev streams that huge pet rework is coming. Hounds and pet MOAs show a trace of trying to solve this since they have their weapons modded separately. Entire companion system is in a bad shape and there's nothing really memorable about it. Good games make it so that their companions at least try to make some sense out of what player is doing. There's also pet AI, that's basically a random decision generator. They'll do something every few seconds, but even with thousands of hours that I have in this game, I still see no chain of decisions, just random roll. Also, why does Pack Leader heal only from melee damage? Weird call, but the result is that if you play Endurance and you make a crucial mistake of not using your melee for 3 or 4 seconds, you have to spend the next 10 seconds reviving your companion. Like with all the Game Maker Toolkit guidelines, it's the worst kind of companion that gets downed without the player's mistake and requires the player to step away from potentially having any sort of fun and spend time not having fun and reviving it just so it would do the same bloody thing again. And even risk your mission because of it. I just don't get it, because fixing glaring issues with companions would take almost no time, as technology to do so is already in the game. I don't have expectations that these should make 50 plus companions that are as awesome as Elizabeth, but they could at least make them so that they are not deadweight, and vacuum and fetch are basically why we have them in most of our builds. I get that AI takes a lot of resources and it's hard to dedicate that much when people are hosting sessions on Core 2 duos and this game has no dedicated servers in 2023, but at least we got the host transfer simulate. A cross-platform test. Pets and dedicated servers are not really making headlines. But cool companions get to people's hearts. What Warframe is doing with its companion system is nothing short of a disappointment. Even story-wise, why would such a god-tier warrior pick such a terrible creature for its companion? Like, can't we find anything better in the entire universe? Well, this video is overly negative. It's really hard for me to find positive things to say about this companion system. There's limited amount of builds where it can work and most of them are melee-focused builds. Like, I enjoy Warframe as a game, just this is a huge part that drags this game down. And I don't see any reasonable excuses not to improve it when it takes so little work to make their HP scale with enemy levels. That's copy-paste. Make their revive method work the same way as with Clem. That's another copy-paste. And lastly, copy-paste what you've done with Warframes when ability mods got removed. Added bonus, change value on region from 1 to 3 and change prime region from 3 to infinite. Is anyone scared that this would make companions more game-breaking than Wukong's twin? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.